Hello and welcome to Gilmore Friends.
I'm Chemda.
I'm Carrie. This is episode 1.
And we just watched the first episode of Gilmore Girls, and it's Carrie's absolute first time. And I was watching her watch it, which I'm sure is very comfortable.
Yes,
and
that is how I like watching TV. I like watching having someone go while I'm watching it.
And legit the entire time, every time I looked at my own face, I was just like beaming with like, she's watching. What does she think?
It's happening.
I'm like nervous, and I'm like, oh my God, nothing happens in the first episode. And then I'm like, am I going to cry? And because I think it's emotional, but we'll get into it. But I've watched it a million times. This is your first time. We both took notes. We're both going to reference our notes. And this is Gilmore Friends. This is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So do you want to start?
I'm officially deflowered. This is, we did a lot of prep
yes.
and a lot of build up. And I had talked at length about what I thought the spoilers were, and my spoilers were correct. There is a grandma. All right, let's get into it.
Well, actually, you really didn't know anything about it. I said there was a grandma.
I knew nothing about it.
You were calling Lorelai, and I didn't correct you. And I thought that was so funny.
Okay. And it's apparently the same name as Rory. We learned that in the episode.
Yes, we did.
Is that a known name?
I had never heard of the name Lorelai, I don't think, before this.
Okay.
I never knew a Lorelai. Did you?
I've known a Lorelai, but maybe they were born after the show came out. I don't know.
Right. I don't know. But yeah, Rory sounds like something like, I wonder if it's when she was 6 months and she tried to say Lorelai, and it somehow, you know how you get these odd
maybe
nicknames when you were younger.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But I do like the name. I like that they mentioned that she named me after herself, because I always say that. I'm like, why can't I have a kid and name my kid Carrie Jr.? Why is it only Junior for the boys?
That's like the only reason you wanted to have a kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people were like, that's not a good reason to have a kid. Please don't. And I was like, all right.
So we took notes. Where do your notes start?
Okay, so my notes start, and I write handwritten notes.
I was digital about it.
Mine says episode 1, ! And then right under it, it says coffee, because the show opens upon drinking coffee. That is the opening scene is somebody getting coffee. And I was like, that was a major spoiler. And it's literally the first thing that the show does is show you
I love that coffee could be a spoiler. Like that's how much I tried to keep the show away from Carrie.
Right.
That I made her believe that coffee is a major spoiler. I'm like, oh no, you know about the coffee.
You know about the coffee. But it is also one of the glyphs on our merch.
Oh, yeah,
One of the images.
2 of them.
What's that?
It's 2 images on our merch.
Yeah, but it wasn't a to-go cup until later in the episode.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
They were just mugs at first.
That's true. Yeah.
Because I did write down when I first saw a to-go cup later in the episode.
Yeah. And you did predict that the mugs would be at a coffee shop.
At a coffee shop. Yep.
It's at a diner. So
the second thing I wrote down immediately was that there is a stack of books. Now, that stack of books was on a shelf in this coffee shop, so I'm not sure if that is the stack of books.
I'm going to say no.
I wrote it down.
No. Mm-mm.
No?
No.
That one doesn't count?
It doesn't count. No, that's not the stack of books.
We are immediately introduced to the character of Joey. Joey introduces himself to Lorelai while she's sitting.
Yeah. So, by the way, this was for a long time. I don't know if you have your Netflix, such that if you hover over the thumbnail, it gives you the preview or the little commercial for it. I do. Okay. So when you hover over, the little preview of it is that scene where he's hitting on Lorelai and then he's hitting on Rory. And I always thought, like, what a weird scene. They must not have picked it as the scene representing Gilmore Girls, because to me, maybe this is a spoiler, that has nothing to do with anything except showing how close they are in age, how they both look like friends more than mother and daughter.
Why did we give him a name? Like, I wrote down the
don't know.
name because I was like, oh, this must be a character.
Maybe because the only way to make him seem that relentless is he's telling you his name no matter what. He's sitting down even though she rejected him. He's inviting himself further into their table. When Rory comes, he comes by again, even though Lorelai makes it very clear. And this is, okay, so this episode was out in October of 2000, the year 2000. And for me, it depicts like how... Oh God, I'm going to get right into the male-female thing, but there's a lot of male-female thing in Gilmore Girls, I think, that men were allowed to be relentless like that.
Right.
And she continues to be friendly, like, no, like, I'm not, I'm meeting someone. So she doesn't go like, hey, I'm not in the mood to talk to you. And I think now there's a little more permission for a woman to say that, although... I still am old school. I go the friendly route because I'm so scared of like...
Yeah, but she did it in a friendly way. I thought she made it clear, but was still friendly. I thought she was very graceful in that. Saying. Like, thanks, I'm meeting someone. That's all you need to say. You don't have to be like, get the hell away from me. I'm not your property. Like, I don't think that was the time for her, like, feminist rage. A guy talking to you in a coffee shop, especially if he's not being overtly creepy.
You're right.
You can say, because he was being sort of friendly. You could just be like...
Yeah. I think I just didn't like him, but you're so right. That's so true. I'm like taking it too far.
He wasn't like, drink coffee and then lick my balls, which is the way I pick up people.
Right.
Yeah. In coffee shops.
More common.
Yeah.
And then I thought like him hitting on Rory, I think she looks like a teenager.
I think she also looks like a teenager.
I thought it was weird. And I also thought her being 16 years old wouldn't have necessarily stopped every guy from continuing.
Right, but like in front of their mom, it would. Like if it was two 16-year-olds, the guy would be like, because I got hit on at 16 by fully adult men.
At 11 and 12.
But not in front of my mom.
Right.
Right, because you got the mama bear there, so you're like, oh, I better back off, her dad's there. Like there's a parent,
you're right.
There's someone invested in her safety there as opposed to like, her girlfriend who like doesn't know any better either.
I knew you had to watch the show. I was so sick of you not having watched the show.
Right. Like, okay, so now we're done. End of podcast.
End of friendship. Stop it. We have to go the whole way.
So the next thing I wrote down was that Rory mentions RuPaul, which I thought was great because RuPaul is still relevant. It's been 25 years. RuPaul is still in the zeitgeist. I just love that.
Yeah, which is so cool for RuPaul. Like
the coffee shop purveyor had a backwards hat on. Is that the backwards hat?
That's the backwards hat.
Okay, so that's 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to make it clear, Carrie's referencing one of the things of merch we have is like 25 images, like really simple images of what I deemed, and I think, us Gilmore Girl longtime fans would deem as like major things in the plot. So one of them was a backwards hat.
And I wasn't allowed to see this merch until last night when we did we recorded it. Yeah. Go watch that. But we recorded what I thought each of the images might mean. And backwards hat was one of the images. And so now I'm excited to see it because I'm like, is that the thing? And I always think like when you're designing a wardrobe choice and you choose a backwards hat, it means someone's a doofus. So like maybe the coffee shop guy is a doofus, but then later in the episode, he doesn't have it on. I didn't even recognize the character. And I think Lorelai didn't either. I'm going to call her Lorelai by mistake, by the way.
Oh, yes, please.
So then I wrote down Rory is 16. And then also one of the other images was backpacks. Rory is wearing a backpack at 7 minutes. We're introduced to her Korean friend, Lane.
Yes.
And they seem very cute. That seemed very true, like the way teenagers talk to each other, that rang.
Yeah. And to me, Lane was the character that I probably most identify with.
Really?
The immigrant parents, the changing outside of your parents' view. I did that at their age.
Yep.
The pseudo lying, like, hey, it's a t-shirt. It's not going to kill anyone. It's a shorter skirt, you know.
Right.
I have the. So
That's funny because I'm more of a Rory because I grew up with a single mom, not close to me in age. Like she was a age, you know, older mom, but I did have this single mom who I could tell anything to, and like didn't. And my mom didn't offer to like shorten my skirts for me, but like she wouldn't have cared if I shortened it.
I know this is part of why I'm like, you and I specifically need to talk about this. I'm like, you're Rory in a lot of ways, and I'm
also,
Lane.
I had an Asian best friend, so boom.
Stop it.
Yep.
Did I have a white best friend? Yeah.
Did you have a white best friend?
She was half.
This show is relatable. Anyone who has a white best friend relates to this show. Totally. Oh, okay. So then we're at 9 minutes. We're in the classroom, and I love when high school is portrayed on screen. Is the most boring. No one is ever thrilled to be in a high school classroom. It holds up. Like Ferris Bueller nailed it, and this is just like, you know, it's so boring. And like the popular girls are passing around nail polish, and they're each painting one nail,
which could be cute. But first of all, like you have to pass it for the scene. You got to keep it moving. Maybe it's like a symbol of we're all best friends. We have this color on just one of our nails. My gripe with that is they're doing it secretly, and never in the history of nail polish could nail polish be done in secret. The smell. And they hadn't invented the low smell nail polish yet because it was back in the day. Is that a thing?
Yeah, they have low smell nail polish now. So you could do it in secret.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
and
they
also
were doing
because
it
people
in
thought
secret.
the smell meant it was dangerous, so then they made low smell. But I mean, back in 2000, we were still like snorting asbestos and stuff.
That's
so
true.
they had full smell nail polish. These girls are passing it in class. They look over to see what Rory's doing. She's doing the assignment. We are indicating that she's a dork. But they don't overtly pick on her. They're just kind of whispering about her. They're not. I didn't see like outrageous bullying that I thought that's where that was going to go, was that like.
True, but they did do it in earshot because later she was telling Lane about it. So she did hear it.
Yeah.
And like the vibes are there. If I could use a word like vibe.
She knows.
And I remember this. I remember that if you were doing the assignment, if you were being good, if you were smart, if you knew the answer, you're not cool. And so you kind of like have to keep that on a certain level of low. Did you have any of that?
No, I mean, I went to a fancy school, high school. So like we didn't make fun of people for knowing the answer or doing the work. Because like we all wanted to like be there and like do the work. My high school was not as cliquey as any high school I've ever seen on screen. Movies, TV, people. I mean, we had cliques, we had groups, but we didn't overtly pick on the other groups.
And I'm not saying like people in high school did that either. It's just every time I saw high school on TV, I was like, oh, I'm going to get picked on when I go to high school. Or, oh, I better not act too smart because the cool girls, the cute girls are like, oh, I didn't do my homework, whatever. Like it was a lot of that.
Oh,
like,
no, we like, I mean, I didn't do my homework.
Not in actual life.
That was a me thing. Like I have historically forever to this day, I'm glad that I don't have homework because I hated it that much. The novelty of being an adult has not worn off on me, and it's entirely homework based. People are like, why is being an adult better than being a kid? And I'm like, no homework. That's it. That's the trade-off. Like bills, rent,
but
jobs,
bills are homework.
Taxes. I don't give homework. I don't have homework.
Okay.
Everything else is like, it falls into place, kids. It gets better. You age out of doing homework. And like, I have things that I need to do for my life. None of it feels like homework.
Wow.
Yeah. I hated
homework. I don't
homework.
know that everyone has that
And I
attitude.
think it was because I was cool. Is that what you're saying? If I'm hearing you right, it's because I was cool?
You know, I wasn't there, so I'll just go with that.
All right. So then we meet the Melissa McCarthy character who is clumsy and diabetic. Sookie?
Not diabetic. Sookie.
Okay, because she's like somebody diabetic is gonna love this sauce. I'm like, what?
Because it's so full of sugar. So they're picturing the inn that they're going.
Snarky. Okay.
Yeah.
And then at 12 and a half minutes, the Asian mom says, boys don't like funny girls.
I have that on my thing as well. Because you know what? That is how I grew up. The boys don't like funny girls. Like it was weird to laugh too hard at a joke. It was weird to get the joke too much. This is by, immigrant, old school, old world parents who, also would have hooked me. If I allowed them at 16, they would have hooked me up. We were a little more modern than that, but they were they were worried that I did not have a proper suitor and I was 16 years old.
Jeez Louise.
And they were like, there was talk about marriage.
And it was because you were funny? That you did not have a proper suitor upon 16?
I don't know. I think I was starting to be too far out of what like good normal girl was,
Right.
So they were just concerned, and they were concerned that I hadn't been in the realm of like, you should be like on your way to getting married, whatever that meant. Like, properly looking for the right guy, allowing for and them to hook me up.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been delighted.
Instead, I was going to Limelight and Palladium without telling them.
Right.
But...
See, I wasn't going to Limelight. I mean, I was like doing other stuff, but like if my mom tried to hook me up, well, maybe not at 16, but like later in life, someone was like, my mom's trying to hook me up. And I was like, that sounds kind of awesome. Like, I don't think my mom would have picked a loser for me. Maybe in my 20s, maybe at 16 it would have been too much, but like in my 20s, I was like, Mom, find me a man. Like,
and from what I hear about your mom, and I haven't had the incredible pleasure of meeting her, but she sounds absolutely amazing. She
great.
Knows you.
She knows me, and she wouldn't pick out a drip. She's a funny woman.
I think my mother's funny too. She wasn't like really that expressive about it, but she had a great sense of humor. But she wasn't hooking me up based on who I was. She was hooking me up based on
how she wanted
a daughter to be, and how she saw a female, a woman.
That's no fun.
Well, I asked her one time. She was like, "Please go on this date. It's a good guy." Blah blah blah. I go, "All right. If you can sincerely tell me 1 to 3 things that you know about him, I will go on this date." And it's not that they know the guy, it's that they're good parents.
Right.
So another parent wants to hook me up because they're good parents. And so she's, in the connection of things like, oh, those are good parents. I would want them to be the in-laws.
Right,
and
right. You want this family line.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, do they know anything about me and what I do, who I am? No.
So wait,
doesn't matter.
Did you win that argument? Were you like, I will meet him if you can tell me 1 to 3 things, and then she couldn't do it?
I did for that one. I allowed her to semi-hook me up one time because I was like, can we not make it weird? Like, if he's at the same place that I am, because we're always like around family, at a wedding, at a bar mitzvah. So if he's there and we can like check each other out and like, if you can get along at some wedding because you're dancing and you could like walk away. So she hooked me up that way. And I sat at the same table as someone. But
and then did you marry that guy?
No. I don't think I said more than a sentence. I was like, this guy he doesn't know how to talk to people at all.
Right.
So
speaking of which, when are we there yet? Before she meets Dean? Okay, wait, I just wrote down that Lorelai.
Whatever.
God damn it. Now I'm second guessing it. Damn it. But she had a very short mini skirt suit, and I had the same suit in 2000.
I could see you in that.
I had that almost the same suit where
I am not surprised.
The skirt part of the suit was way above the knee, and then it was like very tight in the shoulders because I was tiny in 2000, and like that was my first suit, and I recognized that suit that she was wearing.
We're gonna feel that way a lot throughout their wardrobe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very representative of what we all were wearing.
That was how I dressed in 2000. plot hole or plot point that she did not know the cost of the school before she enrolled her daughter?
I know.
Is that, I mean,
she
just didn't realize it would come up so quickly?
She didn't anticipate needing to pay it all up front. She thought it would be like a monthly bill.
But I feel like that's something you clarify before you get the... And also the school should be willing to work with you if it's $50,000.
Yeah, to me, the whole money thing is like, we're just going to keep, butting heads with the show if we talk about how money works.
I know. And then I was like, I'll let it go because like we need the urgency, right? Like,
yeah,
it was written in there for urgency.
There's also like, you didn't save up for this. I mean, you're a single mom, so, there's all that. But they went to the diner twice in one day.
Yeah, I know.
So there's that kind of addition. We're going to do a lot of addition that's like, okay, she owns her own home. She has no equity in it. Like
she owns her own home. And she has like a bag and a half of makeup. Not that I'm not, like people spend it, but like she knew this was coming.
They have 2 Macy Gray CDs.
Right.
They share a house. They share music. I mean, the math on that's the thing. Like the math on any sitcom, on any TV show, it never adds up. It has to be just a plot point that we go. I guess,
and you just have to accept. The prize of the talent show is the exact amount we need to fix the barn. Right. So that's this, right? Okay. So then,
it really is.
That means that we meet the grandmother. Yes. At 21 minutes.
Oh, I just want to point out before that, because at 15:30-ish, Michel says people are particularly stupid today. Yes. And I just feel like that is a quote that longtime fans quote constantly. I'm sure it's a T-shirt. I'm sure it's a stitched
people
piece
are particularly stupid today.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, so that needs to be said.
There was the snooty French stereotype. And like, I have a feeling this character will grow. I guess we'll talk about where I think the characters are going later. But like, he's too one-dimensional right now. I mean, he's a caricature of a character right now. So like there's going to be inner depth to Michel. I hope. I'm hoping.
I plead the fifth on that.
Okay. Yeah. No spoilers.
I feel like that's a spoiler. Yeah.
And then, and then the grandmother says, "I'll give you the money if you have dinner with us Friday nights at 7."
I had to tell Carrie that there is a significance of Friday night at 7 because we were doing our Patreon and like, when should we meet at the level of like, let's have a Gilmore chat once a month. And I'm like, we have to do it Friday night at 7. And she's like, well, we don't have to. I'm like, no, we have to. It's significant to the episode. And
I was like,
to the show.
Significant in the show. So that that went on my list of spoilers. But you're right. It's in episode 1. Like, what are we doing? So that's why the Patreon, it's a good time to mention. If you want to join our Patreon, you can hang out with us, not every Friday at 7, but some Friday nights at 7 p.m. Yeah. Because we're the grandmother who is blackmailing our children to hang out with us financially.
Kind of.
We're financially abusing our audience to hang out with us.
I believe we worded it different on Patreon, so let's go with whatever that landed on.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. However you worded it. And I couldn't look at the listing on Patreon because there were spoilers in the Patreon. So
there
I've
were
done
so
no
many
work
things I had
this.
to do without Carrie. Yeah.
So then we meet Dean finally at 23 minutes and 48 seconds ish. We meet Dean, and his first opening line is Rosemary's Baby, which
because she referenced Rosemary's Baby.
When?
She's like, make a noise, and I don't know Rosemary's Baby, whatever she said about that. There's a lot of references.
She's quoting from Rosemary's Baby, and that's why I thought she was holding it or something.
No. And so she was really impressed because we didn't know. Because
he got the reference.
Yeah.
All right. That makes way more sense. Because I've seen Rosemary's Baby, but I didn't get the reference line that whatever she said. That's very funny then. Because I just thought he was being a psycho.
I like that it's retroactively funny.
It's more adorable now that I see what's happening because that's not a cute movie to like bring up to a stranger.
No,
but she started it.
Yeah. And she was like, hey, make a noise. Like she was annoyed with him. So, and plus they reference whatever can be referenced, whether it's like it could be a Holocaust movie and it's about somebody who's saying one word, but if it has a reference, they will find it. So,
okay.
Yeah. And I thought their meet was so cute. I saw your face the whole time and you're like, what is going on with this girl? And I'm like, you've never found.
I did, but she, okay, so she goes from, like, she's obviously smitten, right? Because he's dreamy. And then she goes into the name thing and she's like, my mom was, I think, and then she names the drug, had something to do with it. So she's.
Well, he goes, I just moved here from Chicago. And she goes,
oh, yeah.
Windy, Oprah. Yes. Because I think they're further depicting like how much she's in her own books and in like.
Yeah. So she's a dork, you know. And so, but I thought that was very funny. Chicago,
so cute.
Windy, Oprah are like two things that people say about Chicago. That's great.
Yeah. And then the round cakes.
And then they're walking, but she had previously shown that she could hold a conversation.
Yeah.
That's why it was weird to me when they're finally walking and she's like, do you like cake? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, the cakes in there are really good, really round cakes. So if you need a round cake, go in that bakery.
Okay. That has happened to me. And let me tell you, one of the most embarrassing versions of that, it wasn't about a boy. It was about auditioning for the school that you went to. Yes. So I auditioned for singing and I could sing. Like it's my one natural talent. Like I really can. And I prepared a song, but I was so nervous. And I think I was like 12 or 13 or something, obviously.
13.
And I was so nervous. And when I got nervous, I just stopped listening. So one of the tests was they play a note on the piano and I just have to sing it. So you hear ding and you go la, ding, la. And they went ding and I went, oh, I didn't even hear it. So I went, la. I just picked a note and I saw their faces change.
And you're like, no, do it again.
I didn't even have the energy. Like I wouldn't even say do it again. They obviously were going to do it again. They knew this is a child who's really, really nervous. Yeah. So they're like, let's try again, you know, and they were very pleasant about it. Ding, la. Where is this girl come from? I'm like, well, I just lost the audition. I just lost this whole thing.
If it makes you feel any better, I had the same experience auditioning for the theater department in that school where I just botched it. Like I did my little monologue and they were like, who's an actress you look up to? And I absolutely could not think of a single female actress ever.
Never heard of it. So much. We're children.
It was and then I just kept smiling because I was like, be adorable, be personable, like be likable. And I'm like, and they were like, who's an actress you look up to? And I was like, just smile and nod. It was awful. Ugh.
I'm just not good when I'm being tested. So I could see myself going, Windy, Oprah, you know,
but that was funny. Like later when she's like talking about cake as being really round, like I'm like, okay, so she's like having an aneurysm.
Yes.
Like at least Windy Oprah is like related to the topic at hand.
That was as good as it gets.
Yeah. All right.
That's
so
it.
Then it's awkward.
Now, why did you made a face, you made an extra face when he was like, you're nice to look at.
Yeah.
Like you made a grossed out face. Why?
It's like, I don't like hearing that from like teenagers.
What do you mean?
Because you didn't like it when Joey said that to
he was
them
a grown
in
adult.
What's that?
He was a grown adult.
Yeah, but then he like went on about like watching her like read books and like, I don't know, it was a little intense for like a first meet. That he's like, I've been watching you. I saw you reading this. I saw you miss this whole other scene. It's a little intense for a teenager to another teenager. That would have creeped me out.
I love that you said that. Because
that wouldn't have creeped you out if a guy like named 2 books you had been reading when you didn't know he was watching you?
You know, I would think like, oh my God, he even looked at me to be interested to see what I'm doing. You know, that he even finds me attractive, that he's just trying to like let me know. Plus, that's how they depicted boys liking girls. They were like obsessed. I mean, they really only portrayed narcissism with the love bombing in the beginning. Like,
right.
I leave my meeting for you. I lose my job for you. I take this bad deal for you. You know, I'm obsessed. You say no, I bring you flowers. You say no, I ask you to dinner. You say no, I buy you jewelry.
Right,
like,
right.
There's this relentless thing. So I thought the relentlessness was
adorable.
Oh, you must really be into me. It needs to be on that level for me to know.
Right.
That
this
you
is the say anything where you like hold a boombox outside the girl's house and like that's romantic and not like that's a little much, dude.
Right.
She said
it's
no.
So funny that you said that because recently I saw, and I don't know if you're allowed to see this yet, but there was a small video of somebody turning that scene plus other scenes, but their whole relationship into a horror story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was like the commercial for a horror story. They took all his
because he won't stop. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's the messaging we got, and that's the messaging the characters in the show got. So she just thinks it's cute, especially, and this is, you know, not right, but this is how it is. If someone attractive to you is being creepy, you give them way more leeway than someone unattractive being creepy at you gets no leeway. And we know this is like human nature and it's wrong, but like that's how it is.
Yeah.
A hot
and
guy.
if someone's relentless, you know, like a salesperson, which I think a lot of boys were taught to be as, you know, like, hey, keep trying, ask her again, you know. So I think they were kind of taught to be that way when we were growing up.
Yeah. Show persistence, honey.
Yeah. So eventually you might not have been attracted at first, but it might work after a while because you were supposed to, say no. And
in terms of that character, if I were Rory, I would be more attracted to his confidence than I would be attracted to him.
It's a lot of confidence for
It's a lot of confidence to approach somebody like that. And like, kind of know, he doesn't show any like discomfort. He's just sort of like talking and he's like, I just moved here. And, you know, and so
agree.
like, I think the confidence is hotter than the like, whoa, he's been gently stalking me for a couple of days.
Well, she did cringe her face a little bit. Like, how would you know what I was reading?
Right.
Which also, like, I could watch you reading and still not know what you're reading. Your book's open.
Right.
How good are your eyeballs? But again, that's too far. Chemda, take it back.
Right. But I think like there's a double standard for like the Joey character and the Dean character both have approaches, right? And the Joey character is like dismissed immediately. And like
Joey's an adult talking to a little girl.
Dean is start talking to the little girl, and he didn't know she was. I mean, like, not to defend that it's gross, but like, he was shooting his shot for like an attractive woman in a cafe.
That's true.
For the mom, whose name I now forget, and I'm second guessing.
Yay!
Because it's Lorelai or Lorelai, and I absolutely wrote it down, and now I don't know what I wrote.
Okay, so then.
I wrote this down 30 minutes in. Don't make educational decisions based on where the boys are. Ever. Children.
I know. And then during that time, they're fighting, which they never do. And she's like, oh, of course I should have thought about this. You're me. And so here's what I wanted to always talk to you about. You get along with your mom. But here they are not getting along as soon as they disagree. And she starts pulling the mom card. She starts actually getting angry.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
That's how it is. You have to pull the mom card if you see like a horrible decision about being made. I mean, I would fight with my mom about shit I wanted to do that she wouldn't let me do. And then I would often win those fights, but not always. I mean, not always. I one time wanted to like go to a concert and she wouldn't let me go, and I was so mad. And I didn't end up going. And I could blame my mom, but like I thought it was life or death at the time, and it was not.
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah.
A boy I liked invited me to a show.
Yeah, I stopped asking because there was no all the time, so I wouldn't even bring it up. I just like snuck out or told her I was sleeping over somebody else's house. Would stay out all night, like that kind of thing. But I put myself in a lot bigger danger because I was hiding from my mother. And by the way, could you say "leave me alone" to your mom or dad? I was not allowed to say something like that.
I could. I don't remember.
Leave me alone.
I don't remember needing to. I think I could just remove myself.
What?
I could just go to my. I mean, I had my own room.
Yeah, sure. Eventually,
I could
did
storm
too.
off to my room and slam the door. That was very satisfying.
You could slam the door?
Yeah, if I was mad. How do you express anger?
You don't.
You scream, scream, scream. Scream something
Screaming?
stupid like it's my life, and then stomp upstairs and then
My
slam the
dad would
door.
have laughed at me. It's my life. He would have legit go, no, it's not.
I mean, honestly, my mom did not have the energy to fight with me. She'd just be like, whatever. But if I wanted to do something that was really out of bounds, she would then pull the mom card and be like, you're not doing that. I mean, but she didn't have the energy. And I was very persuasive.
I was too. Yeah.
I would just be like, I'll do this. I'll do this.
Don't you feel like you would have been a great lawyer just discussing, I'm sure that's how kids feel. And they're like, no, I have really great points here.
Oh, yeah. I would bring down a clipboard and walk around. I would sit her on the couch and pace in front of her on the couch with the clipboard and be like,
I want to hear this from her point of view.
Oh, she thought this was adorable. If we had PowerPoint back then, I would have been a PowerPoint. I'd be like, Mom, sit down. I have to give you a PowerPoint presentation. But we didn't. So I had the clipboard.
I would debate after dinner, during dinner, whatever. And I remember one time, and this was indicative of every time, my dad goes, you make very good points. I actually think you're right. I don't care. You're not doing it.
Oh my God.
It didn't matter. And I was like, oh, okay, this is my answer forever.
Right.
Noted. And you just kind of go based on that.
You out-logicked me, and this is not a logical debate. This is a power debate. Yeah.
Yes, the answer is no.
I saw at 31 minutes, we both cringed when she put her feet on the bed. Outside feet.
Her shoes.
Shoes, not feet. You're right. Shoes. Feet on the bed is fine. Shoes on the bed.
Both shoes. As she's taking off her laces, I'm like,
terrible.
Do we need to see that? It was so uncomfortable.
Then we go to dinner, and that's when I see the to-go cup. That's also on the merch, is the to-go cup when they arrive at the door of the parents' newspaper. Newspaper appears
That's
at 30.
not why there's a newspaper.
So I don't get to check that one off?
Nope.
Damn.
Nope.
And then we find out that we get a lot of backstory with dialogue.
Okay, good, because my fear around the whole time, because I'm watching with you a show that I'm practically making you watch that I find to be very emotional.
Okay. Yeah. I just want you to know that you don't think you bullied me into doing this. You think okay, we'll talk off
I might have
mic.
threatened. Okay, but anyway, so I'm watching this and certain scenes mean a lot to me. This one is such a big one, the them
kitchen
all
scene?
Together, the kitchen scene, the whole thing, the vibe of Lorelai and her mom and her father. Damn it. And the coldness in the room, the richness in the atmosphere with her telling a joke. It wasn't really a joke. She's not being herself. She's trying to be herself. And this was also sort of how I felt when I go around my parents, I'm like, where do I put my hands? I don't want to be.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's rough. That is rough.
So
her parents are rich WASPs.
Yeah.
These are the New England WASPs that people talk about. This is who they're representing. They're both fully dressed in their own homes with jewelry on in their own homes, bow tie. You're just sitting around your own house with a bow tie. Yes. That's WASPs. That's literally what they do.
Yes. Yeah. So that was, my mother kept a really clean house. I remember one time I left dishes in the sink and somebody rang the bell and she's like, you see how embarrassing that could be? And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know.
Wow. Where was the maid?
No, my mother was talking to me.
Oh my God. Yeah. So that's a very painful scene. It is a very painful scene because Lorelai is clearly uncomfortable, but is doing her best for her daughter. This is a sacrifice. She is making this enormous emotional leap sacrifice to get her daughter to go to Chilton.
Yeah. And what's happening is there's gaslighting everywhere.
Yeah.
There's you're being too sensitive.
Yep. But in terms of the writing of the show, there is an awful lot of dialogue that just explains the entire story, which I feel is lazy writing, but I let it go because the performances were really good.
And it's the first episode.
I know. And I'm watching this like, this is the pilot, you know, like this is hard to write. I've tried to write a pilot. It is hard.
And I just heard myself jumping in like, hey, it's the pilot. Oh, this is a good show. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, I mean, as pilots go, this was a really good pilot, you know, and it gave me, it's not a murder mystery show. It's not a supernatural show. The show is what I thought it was. This is a relationship, coming of age, growing up together, mommy-daughter show, which is what I think I assumed it was. I'm sad it's not a murder mystery cop show. Maybe it gets there. I don't know. Maybe it evolves. We have a few seasons to go. But so I thought this pilot was really, really good at like illustrating that. Like that's what we're getting into. We're going to watch these characters. We're going to see the dynamic. The mom has a slutty backstory, you know, we assume, because they joke about her being slutty.
Yeah.
Which
I'm going to let that
love.
go for now. I mean,
I don't love that, but like, she doesn't seem offended by it when another character says it. She just sort of brushes it off.
I think she's just joking, but you'll get to know the level of quote slutty. This wasn't the perfect. I think they're just trying to let you know she got pregnant early. It's unusual.
And they make a point to bring up that Christopher is rich and doing very well, and that is something that WASP-y parents will throw in your face.
Did that not hurt your heart?
Like I got dumped by a guy and he moved to a town in Massachusetts, and I was in a rage because I'd just been broken up with, and my stepfather was like, "Oh, that's a lovely town," and he goes on about how the town is great, and I was like, "You're missing the point. Like, I'm not talking about towns. I'm talking about the way this guy broke up with me." It was like whoosh, and that's a very
But on top of that, they were like, "Oh, he's really smart. Rory, you must take after your father."
Yeah, that's
Come on.
I know.
You didn't have to. I love the line, "Do I look shorter?"
Yes. That felt. Do I look smaller? And I love and I don't know if this. I mean, I felt emotionally intelligent at 16, but like that she's like, "Let me buy you a coffee."
Yeah,
is such. And then they go out and have cheese fries, and that means that they didn't feed them well. You know, rich people don't give you giant portions. They left still hungry. And I cringe whenever I see people drinking coffee at night in TV shows, because I'm like, they're going to be up all night. Because I don't drink coffee late. But
I do. Not too late, but yeah.
In 2000, In 2000, I had no limit. I could drink coffee all day, all night. Now,
in 2000, I had never drank a cup of coffee. This
really?
started when I gave up Diet Coke in my 30s.
I started drinking coffee at 15 on my way to school.
You were Rory. Oh my God. You are Rory. Holy. Okay, look, I don't have any other notes except for one question. So do you have notes?
I'm just, my final synopsis is, if this is the pilot and you had given me this to watch, would I watch the second episode?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay.
Yes, I would watch the second. You win. You win. I'm eager to see where this goes. I want to watch the second episode.
I'm too excited.
I know.
I swear, I've been too excited about this.
I was really nervous. I was like, what if I hate it? What if I hate it? What if I hate it?
Okay.
I'm glowing here. I'm nervous. But no, I would watch the second episode.
Good. My question to you was, would you have asked for money? If you had that relationship with your parents, would you ask for money?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't. I don't know that I would ask so overtly. I would sort of whine about not having enough money and hope they offer, which I have done.
That's more their language, so that makes more sense.
I've whined about dental work until my mom just paid for it.
Okay. Okay. Well, so thank you for watching this.
You're welcome. I'm happy. I'm excited.
I was just beaming.
Do you have some trivia?
I do. Let's get into the trivia portion. Okay, so this was episode 1. It's the pilot. The original, so it's actually called Pilot. The original air date was October 5th, 2000. Okay. And my question is, before Melissa McCarthy took on the role of Sookie St. James, which actress was originally cast? So she was not cast.
Who is the original Sookie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Madeline Kahn.
Alex Borstein. I hope I'm saying that right because I meant to check. I'm so bad with names, but she is the agent on Mrs. Maisel, Lois on Family Guy, Mad TV. She was a character on Mad TV.
Oh, she would have been great.
And I don't know if you noticed this, she was the harpist on this first episode.
Mrs. Maisel's agent was the harpist on this episode.
Yeah.
And her name is what?
On Gilmore Girls, it's Drella. She was the harpist.
What's the name of the actress?
Oh, Alex Borstein.
Nice. Shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
did not know
according
that.
to Wikipedia, in 2000, Borstein was Borstein. Alex was cast as Sookie St. James in the WB drama Gilmore Girls. Her Mad TV contract prevented her from taking the role.
Dang.
Right?
But she got a job as a snarky harpist.
Yeah.
A snarpist.
I like that she's still in there, and I like that you didn't recognize her. I didn't recognize her after seeing the episode multiple times. I had to read it on a thread or on like some,
wow.
I was like, get out. I went back to look at it. Oh, okay.
That's funny. That's
Number
cool.
2. Okay. Who wrote and sang the theme song, Where You Lead? Where you lead, I will follow.
Oh my God. I don't know.
Carole King.
Carole King. I was going to guess the Beastie Boys.
Good guess.
Carole King. Oh, that's awesome.
So in 2000, King was asked to record a version of her hit song "Where You Lead." So she had already written that, originally recorded in 1971. So she re-recorded it as the theme song for Gilmore Girls. She rewrote a few lyrics to fit the mother-daughter story and recorded it for the show with her daughter. So the second voice that you hear, because she wanted to keep with the theme. This woman, Carole King, if you don't know her, she wrote or co-wrote 118 songs that charted on Billboard Hot 100.
Wow. Prolific.
That charted. The songs you might know from her, You've Got a Friend, Winter, Spring, Summer, or Fall. Yeah. And I Feel the Earth Move. I Feel the Earth
I knew that one.
Move.
Yeah.
All right. So pretty cool, right?
That's amazing.
Okay. Yeah, what an incredible 118 songs that hit the charts, not just that she wrote. Oh, okay. All right. And finally, what profession did Alex Bledel what profession was Alexis Bledel in before Gilmore Girls? So what was she doing before she did Gilmore Girls?
And that's the Rory character?
That is the Rory character.
What was she doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'll
give you
She was a milkmaid.
She was still in entertainment, but not an actor.
She was a dancer.
She was a model.
She was a model. She has great eyes. Yeah, I can see that.
Great skin. I mean,
great skin.
She's tall, as we learned
nice
in
forehead.
This first episode.
Yeah, good forehead.
And this was her first acting role. So in interviews,
she nailed it. Dang, she nailed it.
Yeah, but here's what. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Lauren Graham, who's Lorelai, otherwise known as Lorelai to you, said this about working with Alexis. Quote, "We have a lot of scenes in early episodes where I'm literally gluing her to my side. I literally wouldn't let her go." Because what she's talking about is because Alexis was so new to acting, she would have a hard time going to her mark, which means I know you know what it means, but I needed to know what it means. Meaning you have to start the scene from here and then end up there. So if you see, you see her hugging, you see Lorelai hugging Rory and moving her because, and you see her intertwining arms so that she can take her to her next mark.
Wow.
And she said that it actually worked because it just made them look closer in that mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
And it was just in the beginning. It really was because it was her first role, and it just kind of fit as well. Yeah. So that was my little trivia that I collected. I've been having so much fun collecting trivia for this. Some I knew, some I didn't know. My partner's getting a full ear view. Like, did you know where this guy was born? Did you know who cast this for him? He's like, so interesting.
I can't wait, honey. Yeah.
This is great. So we'll have a little trivia in every episode.
I got four of the 25 images in our merch.
Oh, cool.
I have coffee, backwards hat, backpack, and to-go coffee cup.
Okay.
And you said stack of books didn't count and newspaper didn't count.
No, not where you're referring it to. No, which is funny because I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize the stack of books in that place. I didn't put together the newspaper that he handed her, even though that's in the it's in the beginning where the theme song plays. Yeah. He hands her that newspaper.
He hands her the newspaper. I like that. I predict that they are going to get that Lorelai is going to get her own inn eventually, a bed and breakfast or something. Michel, the snooty French dude, better cheer up, become more lovable, unless he's just seriously the foil in every scene where you need a cranky pants in every scene.
It's your predictions.
I really hope that Lorelai finds love. Possibly with they set it up, certainly, that the cafe dude is in the running because he had a nice shirt on. Cafe dude. I myself would like to have sex with Dean. Were he age appropriate?
Okay. I bet he is.
I mean, I'll
find it.
Were I right. If I were 16, that's who I would try to jump upon and make sweet love to in the gentle New England town. We did it. That's episode 1. How do you feel?
I feel so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Is that the end? Is this our ending? Okay, thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Come back for episode 2. We're going to get the hang of this, you guys. If you didn't like episode 1, you're incorrect.
Listen, Carrie said she's going to watch episode 2. So you listen to episode 2.
I said pilots are hard to write. This is the pilot of a podcast. It's hard to do. We're getting our footing. Come back and join us for episode 2.
We did great.
Bye.
High five.
High five.